Good night. This is U.S. Immigration Attorney Sharifa Tharpe. I am here live to take your U.S. immigration related questions. Go ahead and put your questions in the comments so that I may answer your questions. I have a great topic to talk to you about tonight, and it is fixing your status if you're in the United States and you're here without status. So that means you've either overstayed or if you've crossed the border without permission. What are some of the ways that you can be able to fix your status? Now, I'm not going to cover every single way. If you want to learn about most of those ways, you can always subscribe on YouTube, or you can follow me on TikTok and you will get that information. I'm here every night at around 9 p.m. Eastern time to take your questions and also to bring topics like that to you. So go ahead and follow me. But tonight, I'm going to talk about fixing your status in the case that you don't qualify for adjustment of status. Now, everyone who is in the United States without status, I'm sure would prefer to stay here and apply for permanent residence and a work permit while being here. And of course, I help clients to do that. But there sometimes comes a point where that will not work for the client. And in the case that it doesn't, there is an alternative option. This is through the I-601A waiver process. So it's called the Provisional Unlawful Presence Waiver. And it is a great alternative, sometimes the only alternative for an individual who's here, but you don't qualify to fix your status while staying here all the way. I'm going to describe this process and explain to you why it's still a safe and a great alternative to adjustment of status. Let me remind you that I'm also here to answer your immigration questions. So go ahead and put your questions in the comments. I will answer your questions as I see them coming in. Or you are always free to just chill and listen to what I have to say. Now, if you know that you're going to need personal legal advice, because the information that I'm giving you tonight is not personal legal advice, it's general information. If you know you're going to need that, then go ahead, go to the link in my bio, and there is a link to schedule your own appointment, or you can click on the button that takes you directly to the website, where you can get in touch with the scheduling coordinator. The scheduling coordinator is available up until 11 p.m. tonight. You can also do the online chat or the contact form. So many different ways to get in touch with the firm to schedule your own consultation. So Chef Andre 1, can my boss apply for a green card for me? It may be possible, Chef Andre 1, if you're here and you have current status and you have not worked without a permit, then in that case, it may be possible. Now, in order to determine whether this is going to work for you, you need to first have a conversation with your employer. And then once you've had that conversation, your employer is fully on board. Your employer needs to schedule a consultation to talk about how to get this done. It may be a possibility, but if you are here without status and you've worked without a permit, then that is going to be problematic. If you're here with status and you have not worked without a permit, then that is a possibility. However, keep in mind that if you have a U.S. citizen, and that's actually what I'm going to talk about tonight, you can even fix your status through an employer. If you have a U.S. citizen or legal permanent resident, spouse or parent, you can go through this waiver process and still complete it to go on to get permanent residence through an employer. I'll explain how this is done. Amanda, hi there. I'm a permanent resident and want to apply for my citizenship. How long is the process? So my clients' process are taking anywhere from 2 months to 6 months. Right now I'm seeing an average of 2 months. That's why I'm saying it's a good time to apply for citizenship. If you would like to go ahead and get started with me, I apply for my client's citizenship very quickly. And so you can first schedule a consultation. I still have to evaluate, make sure you qualify, and then get started. Now, keep in mind that the results that my clients see will not necessarily be the case for you, and it is not a guarantee that that's going to happen for you. But I'm just telling you what I'm seeing with my clients, and the process right now is 2 to 6 months. Is it normal to wait 6 months for an interview date in Jamaica? It could be. Now, if you it depends on what you're applying for. But as long as the National Visa Center has everything, and then they schedule your interview in 6 months, that could be a possibility. It just all depends on what happened in your case, and maybe they saw it fit to fit you in for that interview. Is it a must to wait for the 90-day rule to apply for adjustment of status? So, Ben, while the 90-day rule is not something that's codified in law, it is one of those unofficial type of rules, right? If it's 90 days, the officer may, if it's within the 90 days that you've applied for adjustment of status after entering on a non-immigrant visa, where you're not supposed to have immigrant intent. If you do that within 90 days, it could very well indicate that your intention was to come and apply for adjustment of status. Thanks so much for the love. I appreciate it. To Queen B, so your husband filed. So yes, it is a possibility, even though on average you are very lucky if you got your appointment within 6 months, because on average we're seeing about anywhere from 18 months to, and actually 18 months could very well be a possibility, because if you're 18 months could still be your processing time, Queen B, and you can let me know. Because if your petition took a year to process and then you got your interview in 6 months, that's very much a feasibility, because that would mean you would be within that 18-month to 24-month processing time. Do you recommend getting an ITIN number while waiting on information from the USCIS? You can get, now I don't know what your situation is, Star Will 91, but the ITIN number is usually separate from the immigration process. The ITIN number is there to allow you to file your taxes. It's not there as a substitute for a social security number or to get a job, but it's there to help you to conduct certain business in the United States, like open a bank account, file your taxes, and so forth. All right, so let's get back to that. And thanks so much for the love. I appreciate it. So we filed September 2019. Last email said, wait on a date for the interview. So Queen B, is this adjustment of stat? Let's see. So, okay. So yeah, so you would be within the processing time, because if you filed in September and then it took about a year to get the approval, and then now it's now you're waiting for the interview. Now keep in mind, waiting on the interview is not a guarantee that you're going to get the interview right away. So that's something you should take note of. They'll tell you that you're documentarily qualified. That means they have everything they need. They've sent it to the embassy, and you should wait for your interview date. But it doesn't mean that you'll get an interview date right away. All right, so let's see. On YouTube, so happy I could get a question through YouTube. I got my interview based on marriage green card, but I don't have a response yet. So yeah, in this case, they may be reviewing your interview and the evidence that you submitted. So, it is a waiting game at this point. And if it's taking very long, you should definitely check on your case to determine whether they need anything, or make sure that that the correspondence is going to your address. That's Lubo. Thanks for your question. All right. Tapin. How long does an I-134 child under 21 of a U.S. citizen take to be approved? So you could be looking at anywhere from 9 months to 18 months. Keep in mind that the processing times is going to change based on the service center. Go to the USCIS.gov's website to check out the processing times for the service center. Jay Hine, nice to see you here. If someone spent 3 years in marriage with citizen with green card, how soon he can apply for citizenship? So you could you could start applying at the 2-year, 9-month mark, as long as you are maintaining your marriage with your US citizen spouse and you've had your green card for that period of time. Marcy, happy New Year. And Kervin Pratt, happy New Year. Happy New Year, everyone. I'm wishing you a prosperous New Year. Skip White, thanks for sharing the live. I appreciate it. Now, fixing your status. So Lubu on YouTube says the interview was on November 5th, nothing after till that date. So I have seen times varying on a decision. You could be waiting months. You could be even waiting a year or more for a decision. They will definitely get in touch with you if they have additional questions, or they'll let you know their decision. What time they're going to take is going to depend on what the situation is. What is it that they are trying to decide? What are they looking into further? Vanny Lab, what if my partner hasn't gone back to America since the pandemic? He has a green card. So he is playing with fire. I know that they have the pandemic here, and that could definitely be a justification for why he may not be able to get back to the United States. But if he's been outside of the United States for more 365 days straight, then he's at risk for losing his status. So very important that he makes sure that he returns before he reaches the 365. And if he does, he needs to make sure he can explain how exactly the pandemic kept him out of the country. While I wouldn't be able to advise your partner as to how they should get back into the United States, there are some individuals who are still coming back or trying to return. And when they get to the border or the airport, they explain to the officer how the pandemic affected them from coming back. And sometimes they do accept it and let them go through. So Jay Hind, if you've been married for 3 years to the US citizen and you've had your permanent residence for 3 years, then you also meet all the other requirements, you could apply for US citizenship. I am helping clients to obtain citizenship, so feel free to call and schedule a consultation, and then let's get started. Right now, I'm seeing citizenship cases as short as 2 months. And when I say 2 months, I mean from application date to the point of getting sworn in is 2 months. Now, that is not a guarantee that that's going to happen for you, but that's the general timeline that I'm seeing for everyone else. So can someone let me know here if I'm freezing? Queen Bee is saying that I'm freezing very badly. I just want to know if my reception, it's saying I have a good connection. I just want to make sure I am. Until I get verification that my connection is bad, I'm going to keep going. Oh, thank you so much, Jay Hind. Okay, so Dom says I'm freezing as well. Okay, it looks like I'm having a bad reception. So I'm going to probably have to cut this short just because I don't know what's going on with my connection tonight. But what I will do is I will come back tomorrow at around 9 p.m. Eastern time, where I will continue to answer questions and then bring you a good topic. I don't understand how I'm freezing. It says I have a good connection. Can my brother file for me? If your brother's a US citizen and 21 and up, then they could file, but keep in mind, it's not a quick and easy solution. It's taking anywhere from 14 years. Okay, so Queen Bee says it's better now. So I will keep going a little more. So it's taking anywhere from 14 years. Okay, so Starwill, thanks so much. Not freezing, not freezing. Okay, great. Thank you for verifying that. That's very helpful. All right, so it's now, remember that if your sibling is filing for you, if you're here without status, that's not going to fix your status, right? But if you are outside of the United States, or you are here and you're currently maintaining legal status, and then your sibling would be able to file for you. Keep in mind though that from the beginning to the end right now, it's taking a minimum of 14 years, and that really depends on which country you're from. Mexico is taking 22 years. In the Caribbean, it's taking 14 years. Okay, how do I know which immigration office has my case? Applied I-130 for my wife 2 months ago. So if you go to your receipt notice, you look at the bottom, you'll see the address for the service center that's currently processing your case. You can also look at the 3 digits at the front of the receipt number, and that's also going to indicate which service center is processing your case. You can look up the service center based on those 3 numbers, or look at the address at the bottom of your receipt notice. That's the notice that you get right after you submit and it's accepted. You submit that I-130 petition. All right. So I want to quickly just touch on this topic, since I said I was going to talk about it, and this is the I-601A waiver. What if you're here without status and you don't? Thanks so much, Norana. Thanks so much. I know I love my shades of red. So I'm gonna just answer some more questions. I'm getting all good questions here. Jay Hind, not freezing. Thanks so much for letting me know. What if you filed on your own and USCIS sent back the document saying the visa is not available? So if you filed an adjustment of status, if you filed an adjustment of status application and you don't have a visa number available, that would be why they returned the document. In order to file adjustment of status, that's the process of applying for permanent residence in the United States. Not only do you have to have an approved I-130, but you have to have a current priority date. That means that an immigrant visa is available to you. How you'll know is if you go to the National Visa Bulletin, you will see, if you scroll down to the category that you are in. So for example, say you are the son or daughter of a green card holder, then that's F2B. You're going to go down to that category and you're going to see the current date that they're processing. If your date is before that date, your priority date, that's the date that it was filed on your I-130 is before that date, that means it's current. If it's after, if it still has not gotten to your date, that means it's not current yet. And Stawil, you can certainly use me as your attorney, but first we'd have to schedule a consultation, determine what the issue is, determine whether you qualify, and then get started. All right, so Narana, can you give the brand I use? I use Sephora. So I use the brand Sephora lips, the lip gloss. So they have so many different colors, and it's just a Sephora brand. So if you find a Sephora store, you'll be able to find, you'll be able to easily order it there, go in there, and you'll see all the different fun shades, but I stick to shades of red. Can I apply for citizenship even though I've never traveled to the US? So Vani Lab, no, unless you are deriving it. Also, Norana, you live there. Awesome. So you'll be able to find it easily. Can I apply for citizenship even though I've never traveled to the US? No. Unless you're deriving citizenship from a parent, or if you were born outside of the United States and you didn't realize it, but you were a US citizen, maybe. But if you don't have any US citizen parents, it's highly unlikely that you'll be able to just apply for citizenship. Now, if you're talking about applying for a residence in the US, remember, before you become a US citizen, you have to become a resident. In that case, you can apply for residence outside of the United States, but you'll have to qualify. And how you qualify, by the way, would be through an employer, through a family, there is a diversity lottery if you're the citizen of a country that allows you to, and I call it the lottery for the green card. So there are ways, but it's very broad. There are so many ways that you would have to schedule a consultation for me to evaluate how you could qualify. My mother-in-law put in papers for her only son and his family. How long do we have to wait? So as long as your mom-in-law is a US citizen, US citizens can file for their married children, green card holders can. But in this case, it's going to be about 12 years. Unless the law changes, you're looking at about 12 years right now. Texans, is it difficult to changing status from tourist to student status? Well, you do have to go through some hoops, right? You have to get admitted to a university. Then after you get admitted to the university, you have to show you qualify by showing how you're going to pay, and also your non-immigrant intent, meaning you still intend to go back to your home country after you have completed your studies. And so while it's not a math necessarily, I think the part that's challenging right now is that the processing times are longer just because there is a backlog in general. But whether it's going to be difficult is not really the question. It's whether you qualify, and that's where you'll need to schedule that consultation to determine, whether timing is the conditions are going to be right, the timing is right for you. What are your chances? Have you been accepted already? To how far in are you on your tourist status? Because in order to change status, you have to make sure you are continuing to maintain your legal status. So you'd have to also make sure that you obtain an extension at the same time, or apply for an extension. So Vani Lab, so how can you schedule a consultation? You can go to the link in my bio. When you go to the link in the bio on TikTok and the link in the bio on, if you go to the link on YouTube, you will go directly to the website on YouTube, or you will go to a website where you will see a button for the website. You will see a button to schedule your own appointment. You can choose either one. To go to the website, if you go to the website, you can speak with a scheduling coordinator by calling the phone number on the website, or you can speak to the scheduling coordinator through online chat, or you can fill out a contact form. If you go to the link in my profile, you'll be able to see a button where you can schedule your own appointment. So there are multiple ways to schedule that consultation. It's very easy. Can I travel within the United States if I'm out of status? Yes. So it's very likely that you can. The risk is low that you will be bothered in any way. How long does it take to hear back from immigration after doing the biometrics? So after doing the biometrics, you're gonna, if you've applied for your work permit, you may get your work permit and you may be scheduled for the interview. And it all depends, it depends on your case, depends on whether they're gonna need more information. It's going to depend on, how long do they have to keep processing your application before they can schedule your appointment. So it all depends. I wouldn't be able to tell you how long. Mama, I heard about the interview waiver. What is that and who qualifies? So for certain, there are certain visas that they are waiving the interview. These are some employment based, like the L1. These are for certain managers of US corporations that are coming to the United States on the L1 visa and then the H1B. But they are not waiving, they're not waiving all interviews. Finn's Mammy, Happy New Year to you too. And I'm wishing you all the love, all the hope, and all the healing throughout the year. And I hope that your baby is doing well and continuing to make progress. How can I cancel a pending case? Can I sponsor someone else? Aliyah, that is a loaded question, and I would definitely have to speak with you in a consultation to determine what's going on and to make further recommendations and to determine whether you can sponsor someone else. Good evening. My permanent green card expired and I'm outside of the US. How do I get back to the US? So Island Girl, that sounds like a more complex issue. It depends on how long ago it expired, how long have you been outside of the United States? And the reason that is important is because if you've been outside of the United States for longer than 1 year, you may have to apply for a special type of visa to come back. Happy New Year, Nikki Bless. Come back to the United States. But if you're outside of the United States, it's been less than a year, you may just be able to apply for your permanent residence and then obtain what's called an extension letter to travel back to the United States with that extension letter and your permanent resident card. But it all depends. So okay, so it's been 7 years. So Island Girl, if it's been 7 years, then that definitely will not work. If you've been outside of the United States for 7 years, then you're definitely looking at what's called the SB1 visa. And whether you're going to qualify for that, whether it's going to be an uphill battle for you, is going to depend on what happened, what made you stay for all those years. Is there any way, can I stay with my baby in the US that's born in the US? So having a baby in the United States, unfortunately, is not going to qualify you for status, unfortunately. I have a friend who is on a 10-year ban from the US. That are ways she can come back before the 10 years. So Kelsey, if she qualifies for a waiver, this is touching on a more complex topic, because whether she even qualifies for the waiver is going to depend on the reason that she has that 10-year ban. So your friend should definitely schedule a consultation and we can talk. But there are waivers that are available, and also what's called permission to reapply for re-entry that has to be applied for with the waiver, depending on what caused the ban in the first place, to be able to come back. But in some cases, she's going to need a qualifying relative or relatives. And so that's where the consultation is going to be very important. So Daniel Chase, I'm so sorry, I did not see your question. So I'm not skipping it, it's just not appearing. So I'm going to head on over to Instagram where I also have to be. But I'm going to be back tomorrow at 9 p.m. Eastern time to take your questions. And then tomorrow, I'm going to touch on that topic about fixing your status if you're in the United States through the unlawful presence waiver. Now, the unlawful presence waiver requires you to have a U.S. citizen or legal permanent resident, spouse or parent. Once you have that and you're in the United States, you can then go ahead and apply for this waiver, stay in the United States while you're waiting for a decision on the waiver. But once you get an approval on this waiver, it means that it will allow you, when your appointment is scheduled at the embassy in your home country schedule, you can go to the interview. And when you go to the interview, they're not going to hold the overstay against you because it's been forgiven through the waiver. So that is the benefit of this. And you would be back within the United States within a matter of weeks after attending the interview. So it's where you can wait throughout the entire process until you get to the interview, and then you'll spend a few weeks outside of the US dealing with your case at the embassy in your home country, and then you'd be able to return. Now, you'd have to have a US citizen or legal permanent resident, spouse or parent, who will experience extreme hardship if you don't get the permanent resident. If you have this relative and you can think of all the ways that they will face severe consequences if you don't get a green card to be able to stay in the US with them, then this could very well be for you. And you should schedule a consultation. What I do in my consultations is, first, I evaluate whether there is any way you can stay in the United States and fix your status throughout your entire process. But if you can't, at that point, I explore other alternative options like the I-601A waiver. All right. How can I apply for a green card with the B1, B2 visa? You'd have to qualify through other means, through an employer, through family, through humanitarian means, even maybe through the diversity lottery if you're from a country. Right now, Jamaica is not one of those countries that qualifies, though, if you're from Jamaica. But if you're from another country and they are allowed to apply for the diversity lottery, then that may be a possibility. It's like the lottery for the green card. Happy New Year, Nerissa. My family and I have our immigrant visa interview coming up. Any advice? So just make sure you're upfront, make sure you're prepared by bringing all the documentation that's in the instructions. Make sure that it depends. Now, it sounds like it's more family-based, it's not marriage-based, but make sure that you have all the evidence that you are related and you do qualify by family. And review your application. Make sure you know what's in your application. So Island Girl for Life had to leave because of domestic violence. So I didn't see the other part of your question, Island Girl. Okay, so you had to leave because of domestic violence. So Island Girl for Life, I would like to speak with you because I don't know if you are married, but if you were married to a US citizen or a legal permanent resident and you were facing domestic violence in the United States and you fled because of this, then there still may be a way for you to obtain to either, first of all, there is the SB1, but there's also VAWA as an alternative option for you to restore your status. So you can always go ahead, give me a call. Let's explore your options. This is more on the complex side just because you've already been a permanent resident. And the other question is, were you a 2-year green card holder? And have you already lost your status? So these are all the questions that I would have to answer to come to the right conclusion as to what would work for you. But when I see domestic violence here, I want to learn more to determine what could be right for you, because either way, domestic violence could very well be a good basis for fleeing the United States. I would just need to evaluate further to be able to personally advise you, because the information I'm giving here is general information. And it definitely doesn't touch on complex issues, but I do deal with these kinds of issues for my clients. Aliyah, you can schedule a consultation by going to the link in the bio. And once you go there, you will be able to click on that button to schedule your own consultation, or click on the website button. It's going to take you to the website. My phone number is all over my videos. You can also call the number on the website or go to the contact form, fill it out. It's going to go to the scheduling coordinator, or you can fill out you can speak to the scheduling coordinator right there on online chat. She's available up until 11 p.m. tonight. Narissa, you're welcome. Now I'm going to head on over to Instagram. I'm the immigration attorney on Instagram. So you can join me over there to continue to ask your questions. If you can't join me there, I hope to speak with you in a consultation, or I hope to see you tomorrow on TikTok or on YouTube at 9 p.m. tomorrow, where I will talk more about the unlawful presence waiver. That's where you get forgiveness for an overstay that will allow you to fix your status. I'm hoping to touch more on that. I appreciate all the questions I got tonight, and I appreciate the questions I got on YouTube. Thanks so much. I'm hoping to get more and more as I continue to do lives on a daily basis. Have a great night. I will see you tomorrow, or hope to speak